And as expected, the Italians are out. The defending champions are out, and with a whimper. And of course, we'll look at that Germany-Denmark match as well. And hey, you Italians who left comments ridiculing my Switzerland prediction and insulting me, I see you deleting your comments now. But it's all good, guys. Unlucky. Time for your federation to take a long look at itself. In fact, let's get into it. Italy versus Switzerland, and the Swiss hadn't won a single match against Italy in their previous 11 attempts coming into this one. Well, lots of changes to Italy's lineup as players were handed their first starts in some cases. You had a 4-3-3 once again from Spalletti with El Shaarawy on the wing, Fagioli in the midfield with Cristante and Barella, Darmian as a left back, Mancini next to Bastoni. I mean, lots of change. For Switzerland, pretty much what you'd expect. Little changes here and there, mostly in the attack. Vargas getting the start just behind Embolo and Doi as a wing back. And what I found interesting was that Jorginho was benched by Spalletti. I don't know if he thought he'd be overrun by the Swiss or something. No idea what he was thinking there, as there was nobody that could hold the ball and progress it properly. Fagioli and Cristante next to Barella. That's where this Italian national team is at in the midfield. Something I will continue to harp on about, those options that are available to Spalletti. At the start, it was all Switzerland on the ball, with Italy unable to keep possession for more than 10 to 15 seconds. It was hard to tell if this was entirely by design. Surely Spalletti identified Switzerland's danger on the counter and would have been okay with surrendering some possession to them and trying to catch them with too many men forward, but they weren't able to get a foothold for so long. Switzerland were moving the ball really well in possession. Meanwhile, it felt like Italy have connected more passes with Swiss players than to their own teammates in the opening exchanges. In fact, Italy had a passing accuracy of just 75% after 30 minutes. 1 in 4 passes was going to the opposition. That is considered not good in professional football, which I'm sure you knew already. A clipped ball through to Embolo saw him try to go high on Donnarumma, and Donnarumma made a great save, probably Italy's best play in this match. Definitely could rue missing that chance later, or would they? Switzerland were still moving the ball well to unlock the Italian defense. Only thing that was missing at times was someone to make a positive run towards the box to finish off some of their passing moves. And then they did just that. The ball from the left clipped inside the area for Freuler to take one touch and then smack it past Donnarumma. It was just way too easy, man. The quality of this Italian defense has been poor from the start, and the way that the Swiss targeted that right side of the Italian defense spoke volumes. Di Lorenzo and Mancini on that side. I mean, why wouldn't you target that side of their defense? I would. At the half, Italy had more yellow cards than they had attempts. 2 yellows, 1 attempt. Like I said earlier, the options in the midfield are not great, but I really don't understand what the thinking was from Spalletti with Cristante. I would have rather have seen Jorginho at the base of the midfield, with Barella and Pellegrini just ahead of him. Anything would have been better than this. On top of that, they were completely disjointed in their pressing. Sometimes they would press, other times they wouldn't. The midfield would press forward, but the backline would stay way back and deep, leaving massive gaps for Switzerland to occupy and exploit as soon as they won the ball back. Just play one pass, and they had a ton of room in the midfield. Xhaka was walking around the pitch. It was really confusing stuff. But it wasn't just the squad selection in the midfield, it was the back line. I feel for Spalletti in this respect because the players he has to choose from are not ideal back there, but the complete lack of intensity. It was like an entire back line of players that were just switched off and unaware of who was around them. Look at the Freuler goal. Nobody picked up on that run. Freuler was able to take a mistouch that spun up in the air before hitting it in. Should never happen. There should be someone on him way sooner. As soon as he takes that touch, they should be contending for it. Know what else shouldn't have ever happened? Having the kickoff in the second half, losing it pretty much immediately, and then not picking up on a player, ghosting towards your box once again and conceding once again because of it, just 27 seconds into the second half. The right side once again letting Italy down as Vargas was left completely free, but did very well to pick out the top corner. Great finish from him, just out of reach for Donnarumma. So Italy conceded the fastest goal in the first half of this tournament, well, the fastest goal in Euros history against Albania, and the fastest goal of this tournament in the second half as well. That's how switched off they are. As the match changed a bit, of course, as Italy began pushing for goals. They had an offside opportunity that Scamacca hit off of the post. They had some wayward strikes that went over. As Switzerland morphed into counter-attacking Switzerland rather than ball-dominant Switzerland, Italy got more opportunities. The Italians weren't providing much danger going forward, though. Their first shot on target only came in the 73rd minute, so Switzerland were more than happy to sit back and let them do a whole lot of nothing with the ball. Can you think of one difficult save Sommer had to make? Now, I of course predicted Switzerland would win because Well, I think that they're a much better side than this iteration of Italy, but I did not think that it would happen in this fashion, with Switzerland winning this match at a canter, at a trot, while the Italians didn't even look overly bothered that they were losing. So, Switzerland have defeated Italy after 11 failed attempts to do so, and I'm not sure how beneficial it was to them. Beneficial in the sense that they didn't have to overly exert themselves. Definitely, but providing them a challenge they could grow from, not really. But hey, who cares? They will be just as difficult in the next round against the winner of Slovakia and England. As for Italy, as I've said a couple of times on this channel, my fears for them with Spalletti as the manager came true. This looked nothing like Spalletti from the club level, because how could it be? He needs a ton of time to put his imprint on a team, and that's just not possible at this level, where motivation and basics are what you need in national football. Someone like Conte is more suited to international management than Spalletti is, so I'm curious to see if he will continue with this job here. Maybe one more tournament and he'll be good. It was just bizarre all around though. He put out a brutal starting 11. He never seemed settled on his team. Tactically, it was difficult to see what he was doing. He failed to make effective changes. I'll give him a bit of a break in that the actual talent that Italy has at their disposal at this moment is nothing compared to previous iterations. With previous iterations, Italy's poor play could be saved by top, talented players that would provide something special for them. They don't have that now, so it will be quite the moment for them to reflect. Are we doing enough when it comes to investing in youth? Is Spalletti, a talented club coach, the right coach for the national team? Difficult to answer the second question. Easy no on the first. So, Italy are out, Switzerland move on. So, we went over how Germany had a conundrum at the back as Ta was suspended for this match and Rudiger was a doubt. But Rudiger was declared fit and started alongside Schlotterbeck. Also, Sané started ahead of Florian Wirtz. And as for Denmark and their midfield problem with Hjulmand suspended, Thomas Delaney jumped in there in his place. And speaking of Schlotterbeck, he scored a towering header just 2 or 3 minutes into the match, but it was disallowed. Took a few minutes and a few different replays for the live producers to figure out why it was disallowed, but in the end, it's because of a foul from Kimmich, a shoulder barge on the Danish defender blocking his path. Unfortunate for Schlotterbeck there, as I'm not sure that defender would have been able to beat Schlotterbeck to the ball, but it was still the right call from the referee, absolutely. Schlotterbeck was a headache from set pieces, by the way, playing in his home stadium. A few minutes later, he headed one for the far post that Schmeichel had to scramble to get a hand on. In fact, every corner early had led to Germany getting a free header in the first 10 minutes or so. It was spooky stuff for Denmark at the back. But after 20 minutes, Denmark came to life thanks in large part to Christian Eriksen as he began asking questions of the German back line, forcing a decent block out of Rudiger, and they continued to get some chances, such as Mele. For all of their defensive shakiness, they rode out that massive wave of pressure from Germany and were looking much more comfortable after that. They were equal to Germany. They're going end to end. After 35 minutes, however, the match was suspended due to the thunder and lightning above the stadium. Pretty spectacular sights, actually. Some great images coming out of there. And the rain was chucking down hail as well. Anyway, after 15 to 20 minutes or so, the players came back, warmed up, and got started again. And Germany got back to free headers in the box. This time, Havertz getting on the end of Rahm's cross, but he directed it straight at Schmeichel. Either side of the goal, and it's in, no doubt. Højlund had a chance at the other end after he caught Schlotterbeck taking a loose touch in his own box, but he shot into the side netting from close range. As I said in the preview, he tends to do so well in everything but the finish, it seems. It just doesn't work out for him. And it would happen for him again, as Denmark would counter brilliantly, as Delaney played Højlund through, but he just couldn't lift it over Neuer. To be completely fair to Højlund, though, a lot of that was down to the speed at which Neuer closed down the angle on Højlund, came flying off of his line, and it was very well done from the top keeper. I think around the box, Germany almost were guilty of passing one too many times, at times. There were moments where you'd want them to just take a touch and smash it at goal, but they always wanted that extra pass. They seemingly wanted to put it on a plate for themselves, to have the clearest view of goal before striking, instead of just trying to bend it around a defender or something. So at the half, the shortened halftime, given the weather delay, it was actually an incredibly even match, each side having moments where they looked dangerous in the attack. Germany's defense looked a bit porous from the open play, while Denmark's looked poor from set pieces. You couldn't help but think that Füllkrug would have buried one of those headers. No? That's what I was thinking the whole time. Denmark had a dream start to the second half, as from a free kick melee, the ball popped out to Joachim Andersen, who hammered it low past Neuer, but it was given for offside. Marginal though, no, literally the toes of Delaney. Close call for Germany there, a warning sign for sure. If his foot is rotated ever so slightly, it's a goal. It's crazy to think that, is this really an advantage? You know, I'm part of the camp that the whole body has to be ahead of the defender. That would be a nice rule change. You will still have tight calls like this sometimes, but you will have far more goals when players are just in line with the defender. And then the handball for Anderson at the other end of the pitch. His arm was away from his body. Not much you can do there as a referee. But again, it's one of those handballs like the Openda one and the one from the Czechia versus Georgia match where you have to ask yourself, did this really affect the match at all? Was there an advantage there? Or are we just sort of rewriting or adjusting history in a sense, simply because now every single touch from the hand is a handball, even if it doesn't really affect the outcome? It's tough, man. I understand the call, and it is the right call. We can all agree that by the letter of the law, it was a handball. His arm was away from his body, but it's one of those ones that doesn't really sit right, even as a neutral. Anyway, from the spot, Havertz hit a perfect penalty off of the post. Difficult for Schmeichel. 1-0 Germany, a sequence of events where if you are Danish, you're a bit sick to your stomach from this toe offside to that handball call. Shortly after, Havertz created an opportunity for himself through a great bit of skill, chipped it over Schmeichel and wide. Really poor from him, some brilliance and then poor quality at the same time. That was sort of the story of his match. Given Denmark needed a goal and they have an extremely slow back line, Germany began carving them open time and time again, getting in behind with numbers, and one of those times saw Musiala finish beautifully, getting his third goal of the tournament, 2-0 Germany. So, the handball and the offside were absolutely turning points in this game. Fine margins that didn't go Denmark's way. But Denmark were also a lot worse in the second half, I found. They struggled to create a lot of chances for themselves as they had in the first half. But also, Germany defended a lot better in the second half. I think two things can be true there. So Germany move on, and we'll wait to see who wins between Spain and Georgia tomorrow. I think overall Germany won't be overly thrilled with that performance. There were times where their backline looked shaky and conceded chances to the Danes, and there were far too many times where they blew great chances themselves in front of goal. A team like Spain, should they beat Georgia, won't afford them those kinds of things and will punish them for it. But that's it, guys. So as mentioned, tomorrow we'll see Georgia versus Spain and England versus Slovakia. Should be a fun one. Here's hoping we get some fun results here, eh? Thanks as always for watching, guys. I'm Adrian, and we'll see you tomorrow.